All
right.
Is it your week this week then?
Oh no, we
kickoff?
are even. You go. It is your intro. You got the intro. Not me. Go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wireheads, a Cyberpunk Red podcast. I'm Diamond Dust. This is Emmerron, and we both are Cyberpunk Red creators. And this week, because I was not feeling well last week, we're going to be talking about something fantastic that has pissed off a lot of in-game characters in the world of Cyberpunk Red. But Emmerron and I both love it.
I love
More specifically Emmerron because of his background. But I suppose before we get too crazy into it, we're talking about Elflines Online, TCG. And I would like to offer to all of you, once again, another reading. Betrayal. It stings. You give your energy to something, and they stab you right in the back. I expected more out of the Elflines franchise. It started when I, along with much of the Elflines online community, woke up to a mysterious announcement on the Segatari's garden patch. A live countdown leading up to an event at midnight in 10 days. Speculation began immediately. Was it a reboot? A remaster? A new entry in the Elflines JRPG series? Or perhaps was it a new expansion for Elflines Online? The community kicked into high gear. The members of Nature's Thorns were hyped. Everyone had a theory about what the announcement was going to be. I stayed up all night before the announcement. With Morlissa, my agent, watching scary movies on Chiron while hanging out together in our player-owned house. It was nice. I was for sure convinced that the announcement would be a remaster for Elflines 1, since it's been about 25 years since it released. But Morlissa was positive it would be an anime announcement, perhaps an anime movie. Honestly, I think I would have been happy if she was right. At least we could have seen it together if it turned out to be bad. Nothing could have prepared us for the truth. It was a stupid card game. Who asked for this? Nobody! And some packs have codes for exclusive Elflines Online items. Ah, hell, it's the Whispering Orb all over again. Except now I gotta play gacha to even get the ones I want. These aren't harmless cosmetics either. We're talking gameplay-defining items here. Shoved randomly into card packs for Arvish's sake. I was at the end of my rope. This is clearly bad for the game. Toxic. And my entire Elfline agreed with me. Segatari, fuck this, we said. But despite the protests from the community, no changes were made. It's even been months now, and the Weefles, right? Am I reading that?
Weefles, yep.
I'm going to need a definition for that here once we get done. Are playing it on every damn corner of the street. I guess we're stuck with this crap. Better learn to live with it. Derek Seiler. What is a Weefle?
So Weefles, I need to look up a proper definition. It is street slang, but it's dated. It appeared a little more in 2020, and it was usually Netrunner slang. And usually it meant that usually it was talking about like I use the term skitty because that's an actual hacker like NetSec term. It's script kiddie, yeah, exactly. A Weefle is kind of like that. It's someone who's like you're just some like nerdy geeky little shit who came into the space thinking
a noob.
Yeah, not even a noob. It's like more degrading than being a noob. It's like not only do you not know what you're doing, but you're too stupid to realize that that's the case. It's like it's kind of, normie is kind of approaching it, but yeah, Weefles are
So me joining the Final Fantasy 14 community, thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, lighthearted fantasy game."
Godspot,
I had
thank
a
you.
weeple moment.
Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it.
I
No, it's gonna be good. I need to actually, while you go through the rest of this, I will get us a formal definition for weeful, because I am.
All right. So it was. Let me check when this came out, because I remember seeing this dropped. I saw people get a little bit upsetty about it just being a card game, and it's just like, what do you mean? It's more Elflines. This is good stuff.
I believe it was October 22. It was when it came out.
2022. I think this was. Yeah, I think this was the Halloween event for. I call it the Halloween event. No, Halloween expansion. Yes,
Kinda, sorta ish.
And I remember seeing this bad boy drop, and I was just like, oh hell yeah. I like seeing more flavor get added to the street. But I suppose, what is this thing? Elflines Online, the trading card game, takes all the fun of Elflines Online and stuffs it into a deck of plastic cards you can collect, trade, and play.
Fuck
this
yeah,
hot
it
new
does.
sensation redefines Elflines Online experiences, allowing you to explore the Elflands anywhere without the need of a Secretary Rush Revolution or a functioning CityNet connection. And for you Cyberpunk Red players at home, it can be a fully functioning card battle game you can play using a regular poker deck and some imagination. Play it in character when the mission's in wait mode, or play it out of character just for kicks. So yeah, we got that going now.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, hey, actually, wouldn't that be something for over at the Artal?
Over at what?
Oh, over at the Artal booth, actually having someone that did run Elflines on the.
I'd run it. I mean, I'll be running the game room. So I mean, I can bring a deck of playing cards with me and do the division on it. I can do that.
Oh fuck yeah!
I'll need to talk to Vincent about it. But yeah, we might be able to make that happen. Yeah. Those of you who are coming to Gen Con, stay posted. I'll see what I can do for us.
Even in our off time. So like, what the fuck are the nerds doing?
We doing nerdy shit, baby. That's what we're here for.
Or how about they both have cards? So we've actually talked about that with James Hutt in the James Hutt interview. There will not be actual cards made for the game.
Yeah, nothing official. But he said make your own, which I mean we do have card backs for them, and
some people in the community have made cards.
Yeah, and LCC is one of them. So like, we could just adapt, because he used a bunch of random Witcher art and stuff like that. So like, Gwent art specifically. But yeah, we would be able to. You could in theory make your own and have it work. Yeah, I wish. I'm like, come on, guys, like just make.
So
I would love to make them like.
That, or maybe just a DLC where it's just sort of like with the tarot cards, where we can also get the front sides for each of them as well. But yeah. Let's see, creating packs out of the game. So, actually, to clarify, we have buying packs in game, which Derek's guide: don't gamble. Buy singles. Emmerron, you being a TCG player, what does Derek mean by this?
Oh boy, we get to lead on my experience. Let's go. All right. So before I dive into that, I do want to give us, before we delve too far away from it, weeful is a net running term. I was dead right. It is an inexperienced netrunner who has yet to learn the ins and outs of a computer system and how to navigate them. So I would imagine, though, that so it's very, very synonymous with like skitty. It is a term meant to deride the inexperienced person, and they're too stupid to realize they're inexperienced. So we've settled that. Now that we're past that, singles versus packs. This is an age-old debate in the TCG community. many communities are going to differ on this, and whether it's wisdom or like the correctness of it, right? Because in some card games, and depending on the era of the card game too, this is also important. Certain eras for card games are better for buying packs than others. So generally speaking, when a card game is new, or it's just regone, like or undergone a reboot, which has happened a few times in the games I've played, or if the company making the card game adjusts pull rates or things like that to make rare cards easier to get, those are the times where you're going to want to buy sealed stuff potentially, because it is not terrible for you to pull stuff. And if there's like a lot of stuff you want out of a given set, you'll just buy sealed because it's probably cheaper than buying singles. Because the risk with sealed is usually you're only guaranteed up to a certain rarity, and that guarantee is usually like one step above common. If you wanted to get a bunch of the rare cards, which are usually the ones you'll actually use in play in a lot of cases, those usually are going to be fairly expensive. So you are looking at, I know for like Cardfight Vanguard, which is like, you know, the one really solid example I can definitely pull from, some of the rare cards, and not even like, we're not even talking like stuff that's like special editions of cards or things like that. We're talking like the base rarity of a more difficult to find card that you need for a deck. You'd be talking singles for those could sometimes cost between like $20 and $30, sometimes more for a single card, and you'd need 4 of them. So we'd be like looking at $80 to $120, and I'm like, that's a lot of money. But if to buy singles, you know, for if it's just the one deck you're building, then yeah, like I'd rather spend $120 knowing I'm getting these than like the same amount into packs, because they could have cards I don't want, they could have rare shit that I don't plan on using. And sure, sometimes you'll bust the pack and be like, cool, I pulled this $300 card. It's happened to me. Like you pull a $300 card and you're like, I'm gonna flip this for everything I need. And you're like, that's awesome. You're gonna have that happen to you maybe a handful of times in your whole time playing a card game. Like, it's not common. It's the gamba. It's the gotcha mechanic that everyone is like, I'll just rip packs for it. It's probably in the pack. It's not. I promise you, whatever you think it is, it's not in the pack. But say a set comes out and you're like, all right, this whole set is something I want to play, or it's got a bunch of cards in it and I want to play most, if not all of them. Well, then you're going to buy some degree of sealed probably, because like, why would I buy singles if I want the whole set, right? At that point, it's more about like just buying enough to know that you're getting it. And usually that's where the real degen shit. So Diamond, I'm sure you've seen trading card packs, right? You know, blister packs that you see at Target. Yeah. Okay. So packs are one thing, right? Packs, usually if you buy them from an actual card store, not from like Walmart or something, they come in boxes, right? And that's going to be things like this, right? This is like this is a Cardfight Vanguard box, right? So this would have like 16 packs in it, right? We don't buy those. We buy cases. And a case is like a cardboard box about yay big that has like 20 of these in it, okay? And you sit there with your friends around a table for like 6 hours, ripping open the packs one by one and seeing what you got out of your case. That's what you do. So if you're gonna buy sealed, you buy a lot of sealed, and those usually cost like $800 to get like a case, which somehow in certain cases still ends up being cheaper than buying the singles if you're buying them for like an entire set. So that's what he's talking about though, is like, it's considered like if you want to just play a very specific deck and you don't care about the other stuff that you would pull from a pack, you just buy the individual cards you need, because long term it's going to be cheaper, even if up front it looks like a lot, because you're looking at like, okay, to build this deck I need $300. That is a lot of money. $300 is not cheap. However, the other way around, you're spending like $800 to pull a bunch of shit you don't need, plus the shit you do. So that it's just like, where do you want to end up on it? So yeah, very long-winded explanation of trading card games and how they work. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Well, I remember. So, one of my buddies bought a case of Magic the Gathering cards. Okay.
Ooh, yeah. Yep.
All right. But buys a case of them, works their way through it, and it's like, did you find anything good? It's like, I found a few things that are worth a few $100. I'm like, well, that's good to hear. His friend, who is a noob, very new, buys a pack from one of the local shops.
I know where this is going.
Pulls a Black Lotus.
Oh.
The most back when Black Lotus was still legal in Magic the Gathering. And my friend was just like, how much do you want for that card? And I knew what was up about Black Lotus at the time, and it's like, hey, dude, I'll it's like, hey, I'll give you some of these, I'll build you a hand, and call it a day. And I'm just like, hey, don't you cheat this guy out on his high value card. Don't do this to him.
Oh, fuck! I know exactly which set this was. This was recently, right? Like this was somewhat recently in the last few years. Mm-hmm. Oh Jesus, he got one of those packs. Oh, those were a bad buy to start with too. If there was Black Lotus, oh God, poor sucker. Both of them are suckers at that point, honestly. But poor sucker, Jesus. Oh yeah.
I pulled out a holographic Charizard card out of a Pokemon pack once. So, I mean, it's nothing like big compared to some of the other ones out there, but it was good. Yeah. It was a nice little surprise.
Yeah. The other wisdom that Derek doesn't go into in here, but that I would like to throw out there as well is don't buy single blisters from the bodega. It's never going to work out for you. Those things are the chaff from giant companies, and they have already weighed out the packs. You're never going to get good shit in those. Promise.
You never know.
No, I do know. If it's a blister at a Walmart or a Target, it's never good.
Oh, I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it, like, you go down to your little bodega there in, like, old Japantown, and these guys really don't know.
Well, look, if it's in one of those little dangly things that, like, the little cardboard with, like, the heat pressed plastic front that you could see the pack through, if it's in one of those, don't fucking buy it. If it's in a box, like an actual, like, they have one of these behind the counter, that's good. You're good. If it's not in one of these, though, do not. Nope. It's scaled. They are going to hose you.
Well, let's think. I got my holographic Charizard from one of those, like, small packs. It was just like, it's like dumb luck. Nice.
I'm telling you, they're usually more trouble than they're worth.
Oh, absolutely. But it's just like I had a couple extra bucks on a gift card for the gas station. It's like, screw it.
Why not? Yeah, fuck it. I mean, and if it's something like that and you're just looking to have a little fun opening a pack, totally. Like, I'm saying if you're a serious TCG player and you want to get something rare and valuable, 99% of the time it is not in the little dangly blisters. Those are terrible. They're awful. So many experiments have been done by other big TCG YouTubers. This is definitely on its own little tangent, but it's short. They've done experiments where they've gone out and bought a bunch of these and tested it against the same number of packs they got out of boxes. The pull rates for rare shit was way lower. Way lower. Like, to a suspicious degree, kind of lower. It's like the wide scale equivalent of what that guy tried to do to 8-bit at Burnfest. It's
all a conspiracy.
Look here, all right? I'm not saying that they've got a conspiracy out for us TCG players. What I am saying is I didn't get the fucking Black Lotus when I bought it from Target. Yeah.
Oh, all right. All right. Great. So creating a pack, though, It's simply made from a poker deck, and what you have to do when you're creating your hands, creating your
packs.
decks here.
Yeah.
Your pack, yes, pack.
All good.
So you take the poker deck, which it's the standard 52. And what you'll do is you'll leave the jokers in, and you'll create 2 different stacks of cards. You'll shuffle these stacks separately, and you'll deal 1 card from the face card stack as well, because the face cards are in their own. Why, hello, Raven. We're talking about it. We're talking about a fictional TCG inside our TTRPG, and y'all are welcome to come on in.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. I know we dropped some of you off with Raven earlier, so welcome back in.
Welcome to the Wireheads podcast. So, when you separate the cards out, you deal 1 card from the face stack and 9 cards from the number and joker stacks into each stack. So, like in that case, then 1 face card. Let's see.
Yeah. So the way that this,
how many packs could you actually make out of that then?
Out of a 52 card deck, you can make, I believe it's 9 packs. Or no, because it's 10 cards per. So you can make 5. You can make a total of 5 packs.
And then the
with some
leftover
leftover
cards are like singles that you can buy.
Or you just buy a fuckload of decks and you do what I've done here. This is 6 regular playing decks in a stack. Or what's left of them after I pulled apart, I did this method. And this is what's left of my ELO box when I opened it as 8-bit. So that sort of thing is I love this system, by the way, because it's a really cool draft system for the game. Like, James Hutt didn't need to go this hard, but he did, and I'm so appreciative that he did. And I just dropped a box. There we go. All right. But yeah, this is why I also have actually, like, back here, I've got these lovely little doodads. So for those of you at home who want to do this the right way, these are called Cubamajigs. And what they are, I've got a little sleeve in here. Oh yeah, this is, try our extra salty products for when you really want to piss your opponent off. I've played actual tournaments with those in a deck. That's really fun. What you do though is you've got these there's these little plastic thingamabobbies, and they're reusable booster packs. So you can sort the cards you put into booster packs into these, so that way you can't see like backs or whatever until you actually open it. So even if you've got like, say like I've got a bunch of red and blue backed bicycle decks, I can just still put them together because it's fine. Like, it's their face values that I care about, not their back. And then we just put them in these, and then we can always swap them, to match backs later, to make it work. But this lets you do like a whole little thing, and there's like, what is it, 10 of them in here? Yeah, 10 of them. And they come in a little box like this. So these are super cool, and I think this whole box only costs like, I want to say it was like 15 or 20 bucks, which isn't terrible for accessories like that. And you only really need the one, and then you and your friends can play.
All right. So, also, on top of that, a new price category was introduced because of single cards existing.
Yes.
We now have dirt cheap.
Yep.
$10, like 10 euro dollars is 10
Cheap.
That's cheap, and then 5 is now dirt cheap. I wonder what 1 Eddie is.
I mean, as a price category, it's inconsequential, probably, would be my guess. Because you give an Eddie to just about anyone, right? And it'd be like, yeah, that's
absolutely.
Yeah, like, okay, yeah, here, take an Eddie, right?
Thanks. I could maybe buy half a cigarette with this.
Right, exactly, right. Inconsequential. But yeah, no, overall, building packs is a lot of fun. I really, really like it. But yeah, the dirt cheap thing, it makes sense because, like, again, TCG real life, you rip open a case, 90% of what you're going to pull out of that thing is commons. Do you want to know how many commons? I've got like a whole fucking closet over there, right? That is boxes full of nothing but commons and rares that are worth nothing. They are worth like pennies, literal pennies. You search them up on any retailer site, they're going to be like, yeah, 3-5 cents sort of thing. That's why dirt cheap exists.
Now, the thing is, Jokers are an absolutely different type of card in here. If they pull a Joker out of their pack, they've scored a loot card with a code that they can redeem in Elflines Online.
Loot cards are good.
And here it is. They are talking about buying singles. Like any good trading card game, Elflines Online does have a thriving secondary market. So your fixers, like your low-end fixers, will probably wheel and deal in these kinds of things. If you know the right people, you can always purchase the specific card you're looking for. While the prices for singles typically mean edge runners can find them anywhere, few specialty shops exist, so all Elflines Online TCG cards require fixers to help you acquire them. So, actually, wow, that's a score for fixers.
Yeah, well, it gives a purpose to those fixers where it's just like, well, I'm just a rank 1 fixer. I can only find cheap in every day, and it's like, yeah, but there are items in that category that are hard to come by, even then, or that are so niche that there's not really a thriving market outside of the little community they built. So it's an interesting little note for economics in the game, which I like.
Well, one of the other things that I've actually thrown in is, like, occasionally you'll get cards that are like 10 times the value of what their variant is, because they might have they might be holographic, or they might have something else about them.
Variant rarities, we call those, or chase rarities if they're really, really sparkly.
So the good news is it's basically going to take a streetwise, a DV13 streetwise or a DV9 local expert Elflines check to find one who will deal in order to find wow, so that means you'd have to go into Elflines Online, it sounds like, for some of these folks to
look, all I'm saying is, if you're trying to find nerdy shit, what better place to go than to the nerds themselves directly, right? Like, everyone in that game probably at least knows a little about it, and if they don't, their Chumba does. So that's kind of the idea, is like, if you know the right people to talk to, there are people in communities like that are like known for being the guy who knows how to get anything, or knows the hookups, like who's where, and who can get a hold of that super rare Zazalite aura you want.
Well, it might also be the case that it's just like, yeah, you see that one person that lives over in that great elf tree out on the edge of the housing district? If you kill that person, everyone else in this town is going to run you out of here. Yeah. That person gets us our stuff that we need.
Don't you dare do it, or his whole elf line, and that's a lot of fucking people.
There goes the market.
Yeah.
Like, I see this town doesn't want me around anymore. You guys don't get cards. Man, that would be a real fucked up market to handle. Just like
TCGs in a scarcity economy sounds like a nightmare I'd rather not understand.
Man, imagine showing up to the wrong neighborhood, like showing up to where a bunch of Elflines.
Look, I could talk. I could talk about how bad it was mid-pandemic trying to get TCG products. Like, it was fucking awful. Thank you. Ooh, yay.
Oh, it's Emmerwife. Hello.
Hello. Diamond says hello. I think that came through my mic.
Yes, it did. So, you bought the cards, you found someone to play against since it's a 2-player game.
Yes.
So, now you're ready to duel.
Base.
Here's the rules you need to play Night City's favorite TCG, or probably only TCG for the time being.
Mhm.
So you have limited construction, which I've seen this one played when I played Magic the Gathering.
Well, we'll probably play limited tonight.
Yeah. This is for, a quick game without worrying about buying packs or deck construction. Take a standard poker deck, remove all the jokers, split it up into 4 suits. Each player selects 2 of the 4 suits to represent them and shuffles them together for a deck of 26. So in this case, it's like picking, if you are playing Magic, you pick a certain couple packs of cards that you normally go with, and those are the only cards you get to use, not your entire collection. Oh gosh, I've seen weren't you the one that talked about it? That basically Yu-Gi-Oh banned using your entire collection.
So so the way most trading card games, and I believe even like today, it's pretty much every trading card game. For like if you're playing at the kitchen table, like what we call kitchen table TCGs, where you're just playing against a friend, it's casual, it's whatever, right? In those games, generally you eschew upper deck limits, right? You don't care about them. They're not a big deal, right? So I think everyone who played trading card games as a kid has a story of them having like 100 card stack, basically, that this is my deck. It's like, cool. You've got Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon, about 50 different little nuisance monsters in there. And it's basically, your whole collection that means anything to you. But in the game, the minimum deck size is like 40, right? For Yu-Gi-Oh! At least, right? And so the idea is generally you want to have a smaller deck when you compete so that you have a higher chance of drawing cards. Most competitive games, especially nowadays, will have an upper limit on how many cards you can have in a deck. So your minimum limit might be 40, but if they allow you to build beyond a minimum limit, right? Because like Card Fight Vanguard was like a hard 50 card deck. You couldn't build above 50 cards. But those that do allow it, like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, they would have an upper limit of like, I think for Magic it was 80 and for Yu-Gi-Oh it's 60. And the reason they do that is, yes, at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament way back when, there was a team who literally, like, one of their players had a box like probably about as long as like my 2 arms, right? And they were literally carrying it over 2 people's shoulders the whole day. And shuffling it was a goddamn nightmare. And the best part is that the guy running it was a Konami employee. And he just wanted to point out how ridiculous it was they didn't have an upper deck limit. And that tournament single-handedly changed that. Just because every time, because you need to shuffle it between rounds and properly randomize it. And it takes a really long time to randomize, like, I think it was like 1,500 cards or something they had, and that was insane.
Oh!
It was gross. It was really bad. They literally just built the biggest legal deck I think they could, like adhering to other card limits and stuff like that.
So,
yeah.
Finally, before we get too far into deck construction, if you're curious, like most of these cards are going to be worth like your number cards, like 1 through 10. Or ace through 10.
They're nothing.
That'll be 5 eddies. Yep. The Jack of Clubs is worth 5 eds. The Jack of Diamonds is worth 5 eds. The Jack of Hearts and Jack of Spades are worth 10 eds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the Queen of Clubs, Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Hearts, and Queen of Spades. It seems the Jack of Hearts and Jack of Spades are 10 eddies each. Now the Joker can range between 5 eddies to 100 eddies, but those are your loot cards that might have something special for you inside the game.
Yes. Yep.
And then constructed, basically each player creates a deck of 26 cards. 20 must be number cards that you can never have more than 2 of any of a specific number. We recommend sticking to 2 suits for your number cards, but hey, this is your deck. The remaining 6 can be face cards from any suit. Check to see if there's a limit on how many specific face cards can be in a deck. Aces are number cards representing one and not a face card, and all cards come in the player's existing stash. If they don't have enough cards for the right type of deck, they can't play. You've got to be in it to win it, Chumba. Unlike Limited, playing Constructed will require multiple poker decks. This represents not just playing Elflines online TCG, but the experience of purchasing and collecting the cards as well.
Yep.
So this could be, 8-bit is hopping from, the Hollows like card shop to, bodega, to the homebrew bodega over in Old Japantown.
Yep. Which
yes, that is a location in Old Japantown. My setting, it's literally called homebrew.
I'm here for it.
We also have, going to specific fixers to find specific cards as well. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different adventure to, find that right kind of deck. Now, playing the game. Randomly determine a player to go first. Each player, so like in this case, basically roll initiative or something. And yes, there are. What's up?
Well, you'll usually do, or what we would always do.
Dice.
You have a 2d6s, and we call it 2-die high roll. Whoever rolls highest, either depending on the game's rules, you either go first or get to choose who goes first.
Yep. Now the person who goes first gets 20 elf points, which are health points, HP.
Yeah, it's like elf points. It's like life. Yep.
And then player that goes second gets 24.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the beginning of round 1, you have your draw phase where the player that goes first draws 6, player that goes second draws 7. At the beginning of all other rounds, players draw cards until they have 7 in their hand. Anytime no cards are left in their deck, the player goes to draw. They reshuffle their discard pile, and that just becomes their draw pile again.
Yep.
Now, the play phase, the player picked to go first takes their turn, followed by their opponent. During the turn, a player may do any of the following 4 actions as many times as they have the resources to do so. They must pass their turn if they no longer have resources to perform actions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can summon, discard 1 or more number cards whose numbers add up perfectly to the number on a card you wish to summon from your hand. So, for example, Derek Seiler wishes to summon Restless Spirit, which is a 6 of spades. So, he discards a 2 and a 4 from his hand, and they go into a discard. 2 of diamonds and 4 of spades. They go into his discard pile, and he triumphantly slaps the Restless Spirit down on the table. All right. And then you can also attack. You discard 2 cards with the same suit as the summoned creature that hasn't attacked yet on this turn, or a number card with the same number as it to attack with it.
Yep. So if you have like a 10 on the field, you could discard another 10 to have it attack.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be one card, not the sum.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, with that, those cards are sent to the discard pile, and the opponent's summoned creatures, if its number or lower, will have to be sent off to the discard pile as well.
Yep.
So, for example, Dragon is 10. Anything 9 or lower, well, goodbye.
Yep.
And looks like deals damage, or you can deal damage direct to a player.
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, so it's down to like, this is what we call card economy. So those of you who are less versed in TCGs, there are times where it's you don't just want to bash your opponent's face in, because if you don't deal with their board, they will just kill you. You're gonna lose. So in those cases, you want to reduce their field advantage that they have, so that they have to work harder for it, right? And I think like Diamond, when we played on your stream that one day, there was an opportunity you had to do exactly that, and you attacked me. I'm like, perfect, swing right back. And
I
Yeah.
know, but I was playing her as a as
total
a noob.
novice. Yep.
Now, that's something that, thinking about it, I actually learned about card economy from my partner, Speepy Beans, who is a fantastic Magic the Gathering player. I was just kept, bashing at their health, and then they finally are just like, well, I have this card, this card, this card. I end the game. Like, shit.
All of a sudden, they wombo the combo, and it's over.
It's all ogre.
They go Moo Madness on you, and it's over.
Then we have remove. You discard 4 of the same suit and place one of your opponent's summoned creatures into their discard pile. So you can just burn your cards to get rid of a. But you have to have 4 of the same suit. So,
Right.
Goodness.
But sometimes that is actually really good, because burning, like, you might not have any other options. So like,
Well, imagine having unfortunate polls, though.
right. Well, that's what I mean, though. Like, if you don't have the right sum in your hand to like actually play a card, but you do have 4 of the same suit, you just be like, all right, I'm going to do this and just burn your card. So that way I can, because that's the other side of that, is if I do that, I can then draw more cards when I start my next turn, and that will let me cycle my deck and hopefully get something I can actually play.
Now,
Yeah.
playing a face card from your hand to activate the effects of that face card. The effect may be instantaneous or remain in the game until certain conditions have been met. Once the face card's effects end, the card is not placed in the discard pile. Instead, it is just removed from the game. It's it's out. For example, Derek is down 10 elf points, and he's worried his opponent might pull out some big monsters on their next turn. To help counter this, he plays Blessing of Arvish, which is the Queen of Diamonds, and heals 7 elf points, and then places the card back into his custom deck box. I wonder how much a custom box would cost.
IRL, because they do exist. IRL, they're usually in the neighborhood of like $40 to $50, depending on like how fancy you want it. Like, you might be able to get ones cheaper than that. You could also definitely get them more expensive than that. But yeah, it just depends what kind of fancy stuff you want. But yeah, within the game's confines, probably be the same thing, honestly. It'd be just dependent on like how fancy do you want it to be. And like, probably, I'd say like 100 eddies probably for like a decent one. 500 if you want something really, really spicy. This thing looks like it's even coated maybe in real 14 karat gold.
And basically the objective, game event ends immediately when one of 2 players' elf points drops to 0.
Yep.
So, finally, what are the cards? Do you want to cover this one?
Yeah, sure. So the cards themselves, so we've got a couple of different things, right? So first you got the number cards. I will say that I literally have never called these by their names when I've been playing the game. But the aces are elves, the 2s are slimes, the 3s are gremlins, the 4s are cursed heads, the 5s are draglins, the 6 are restless spirits, the 7s are bearwolves, 8s are zazalifs, 9s are golems, and 10s are dragons. and in the DLC itself, there's like a description of each of these things, but it's inconsequential. All the different colors, by the way, represent the same unit cards like those. So none of those are going to differ from one to another. Then we get to the face cards. So these are where, in my opinion, some of the memes kind of start to come. So first we have Jack of Clubs, which is Spreading Slime, which is each player must discard one of the summoned monsters they have, limit 2 per deck. So if you're building like a big deck, you can't have more than 2 of these. Jack of Diamonds is Gather the Elflines. Swap a number card in your hand for a number card of your choice from your discard pile. We have Jack of Hearts, and this is actually one of the first references. This is Hero's Tutor. Search your deck for a card, then shuffle your deck and place the card on top. We call anytime in a card game there's that search your deck for a card and either put it into hand or put it on top. We call that a tutor. So Hero's Tutor is a reference to that. This next one is one that all of you Yu-Gi-Oh fans are going to get right away. It's Jack of Spades, the Pot of Miasma. Draw 2 cards, limit 2 per deck. So when I ask you, what does Pot of Miasma do? The correct response is it's a card that lets you draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. And then everyone in the audience should repeat that a couple times just to be sure that we get what that card does. The next thing we have is the Queen of Clubs, which is the Curse of Enthornox. It is a 5-point burn on your opponent. So it's lower players' health points by 5, limit 2 per deck. So again, that's going to just be for burn strategies. Queen of Diamonds is the Blessing of Arvish. You heal for 7 elf points. You cannot heal above your starting elf points. Limit 2 per deck again. The Queen of Hearts is rank up. Discard one of your summoned monsters. Then play a monster from your hand with a number higher than the one you discarded. So you could literally just go, okay, I'm going to take my like little elf that I put on the board earlier, and I'm going to level it up, and I play a 10 now. Have fun.
Oh,
yeah.
That'd be cruel.
It's beautiful, honestly. Next we have Queen of Spades, which is Rise from Bog. Take a card with number 5 or less from your discard pile and summon it. So you just resurrect something. Then we have the King of Clubs, which is Flight of Dragons. Discard all summoned monsters of number 6 or higher, even your own, limit 2 per deck. So it's a board wipe. King of Diamonds is a Zazalite aura. When this card, or play this card sideways, atop a summoned monster. When the next monster would be discarded, remove this card from play instead. Only one shield can be placed atop a summoned monster at a time. This one doesn't have a card limit. So you can run 6 Zazalite auras if you really wanted to. Make it really hard for your board. You make your board what we call sticky. Basically, it'll stay on the board and it sticks to the board. It doesn't get easily peeled off. Next, we have King of Hearts, which is Hero's Reversal. Play this card anytime your opponent uses the Activate Face card action. Your opponent's face card does not take effect and is removed from the game unless they also have a Hero's Reversal, in which case play proceeds normally and both Hero's Reversals are removed from the game. Limit 2 per deck. So removed from the game, by the way, here is different than discarded. They are just taken out. They go into your deck box again and they are not part of it anymore. King of Spades is the last one. That's Warlock's Wrath. Discard all summon monsters on the field, even your own, limit 2 per deck. Oh my god. I'm definitely missing some jokes by not being a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Yeah, Fiberpunk. I understand. I quit Yu-Gi-Oh at the end of high school and I was like just done with it. So yeah, no shade there. So next we have the loot cards. So these are all the jokers you can get. So the way it works is when you pull a joker in a pack, you roll 2d6 like you would on a critical injury, but instead of it being like the critical injury table where, you know, you get like the most harsh critical injuries at the end, instead it's going to be the most expensive items are on the extreme end. So the 2 or the 12. And the closer you get to the middle, the cheaper they get. So to start on the low end here, we have the Super Repair Hammer. Repairs made using a Super Repair Hammer occur instantly and cost half of the gold they would typically cost. The single cost for this, if you buy it as its own thing, is 100 eddies. Next, we have the Tiny Tent. Only one may be owned by a player. Every 24 hours, a tiny tent can be deployed. It takes 1 minute to deploy the item, after which it clears a small area of miasma for 10 minutes. At the center of the clearing is a cute tent of a color of the player's choosing. The minute-long deployment process is cancelled if a player who owns the tiny tent takes any damage. Griefers, note that if you see them placing a tiny tent, that is your time to annoy the shit out of them by not killing them.
Time to make money.
But you just keep plinking them with arrows. And if you can roll high enough on your stealth checks, you just plink and then just don't do anything for a little bit. Let them get right up next to you, because I knew you could see their cast bar. This is pro tips from Emmerron. You can see their cast bar. So when it gets about 75% of the way, they're plink them again. Keep doing that until they rage, and then kill them. Because at that point, it's no longer fun.
I should have done that to my players then.
These cost 50 eddies when you buy them as a single. Next, we have the duel flag. It allows a player to initiate a mutually agreed upon duel with other players in areas without miasma, so in towns and stuff. Instead of being killed when reduced to 0 HP, the losing player is instead reduced to 1 HP. The winning player is fully healed immediately. So bear in mind, this means that the other guy has to actually heal in order to get back to normal. And you could use this to grief someone potentially by doing this right at the edge of a safe zone potentially, and then forcing them out through glitches and things like that, so your Chumba can gank them and steal all their shit. That also costs 50 eddies. Next, we have the Weapon Glow Vial. Okay, for 50 eddies, this is a steal, guys. I know all of you out there, you love your particle effects. I do too. Particle effect weapons are the best. This lets you get particle effects. One use, when applied to a weapon, it begins to glow a color chosen by the player. Useless, but highly sought after by the player base. So this is one of those times where the 50/80 price tag, it says costly on here. I would probably rule in my games that this would be treated like an expensive item for the purposes of
trying to find it.
Yeah, because think about it. Man, I love my sword. Sword's great. Sword is one of my favorite things. The thing doesn't glow though, and that's kind of a bummer. So I talked to my fixer, and my Chum hooked me up, and I got a Weapon Glow Vial, and now that fucking sword, when I unsheath it, glows that bright pink I always wanted. Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Great. Appreciate it. So this is 50 eddies. We have a Revive Sickness Cure. Removes Revive Sickness. Goodness. Yeah, removes the Revive Sickness without having to pay 2,000 GP. This costs 20 eddies, which I might remind all of you at home is exactly the cost of the Revive Sickness if you bought gold with eddies.
It would be kind of cruel though. Somebody, some noob actually gets their first kill in PvP, and you just drop that, and they get no gold because of this.
Exactly, yeah. So again, to all my griefers out there, look, just because they got the better of you doesn't mean you can't have a little fun back. Pick up a couple of these, and when they kill you, make sure you pop this rather than paying the Revive Sickness at the Cathedral. It will just screw them over and make them furious. They wanted that 2,000 gold, and you just denied them.
Where's my 1,000 gold?
Exactly.
I killed you.
Yeah, get good, scrub. I used a goddamn revive cure. You didn't know about those, but now you do. Get good. And then you suddenly see just the tilt detected enter chat. Next, we have a real simple card. 500 Elflines online gold, 5 eddies, which is what it normally costs. Nothing special. Next, we have 10 Sacred Herbs. 10 Sacred Herbs to heal with, cost 5 eddies. Which I'll need to look at the item shop again for ELO, but I think that's about
the Sacred Herbs. Just act as speed heal.
Yeah, but what do they cost per?
I think it's like I think it's like 50 eddies a pop. It's
Or
like,
you mean 50 gold a pop?
yeah, 50 gold per sacred herb. So this is kind of a steal.
That's actually kind of a bargain. That's unlike most of the things on here. That's actually kind of a bargain.
But then again, you'll probably eat through 10 sacred herbs before too long. So
Yeah, like it's not a great item, but I mean, if it's giving you value for money, it's actually worth it. Next, we have the weapon polish. One use when applied to a weapon, it becomes an excellent quality. So this is actually kind of nice.
Only 20 eddies.
Only 20 eddies to buy one of those on the singles
Jeez.
market. Next up, we have the rank up elixir. One use when drunk by your yellow character, they rank up if they weren't ranked 10 already. Another 20 eddies. So by the way, this is pay to win right here, because if you just want to rank 10 Elfline, you just buy 10 of these for 200 eddies, and then you're like, cool, gulp, 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 done. All right, cool, thank you.
You have all these job quests to do now.
Yeah, right. We noticed you're a bark shield, but you haven't even completed the bark shield tutorial. The hell is wrong with you? Yeah, no, that. Next up, we got the Tiny Draglin. A Tiny Draglin, it mindlessly follows the player around, occasionally emoting, but can perform no other actions. It will express remorse when the player fights with a Draglin and will cry when one is killed. 50 eddies to have depression. Thank you. And finally, we have the Dungeon Stone. It allows the player to transport themselves and up to 6 other players to the entrance of a dungeon they have completed before. Teleportation takes 1 full minute, very audibly plays the Elflines 1 JRPG theme, and is canceled if any of the players involved take any damage. These cost 100 eddies. A reminder, use your dungeon stones in a town or other safe zone. Do not use them in the field. The plinking harassment does apply to these.
Oh, that sounds great.
See, aren't you happy that I'm here co-hosting this with you so I can give you all the vile ideas you could do?
Now, something else here that I think Emmerron and I will probably bounce back and forth on here.
Yeah.
Is we have cheating and we also have merch. But cheating. So, gamble has always been a skill in Cyberpunk Red. Just we never really had like a strong There's never been like a really strong platform for gambling in Cyberpunk Red, which I hope to see show up at some point, especially because we have people like Rex Royale who exist. But while playing Elflines Online TCG as a minigame during Cyberpunk Red, cheating is encouraged. Most tournaments held in Night City are full of cheaters hustling the tournament for the tournament prize. During gameplay, when you decide it's time to play dirty, you can attempt the following checks with a D10 plus your intelligence plus your gamble skill, or whatever appropriate skill check is noted. If you don't beat the DV, your cheat fails and your attempt is obvious to your opponent and your observers. Additionally, once per game, after a cheater has attempted a cheat, a participant or observer can oppose the cheater's check with a concentration, gamble, or streetwise check, catching the cheater if they win. In a tournament setting, cheating is grounds for disqualification and expulsion. In the street setting, it's grounds for violence. Man, imagine trying to cheat someone who over some money, and instead of getting 50 eddies, you get 1 eddy worth of lead straight to the forehead.
Oh. Lead applied directly to the forehead. That'll solve a cheater.
Of course, something else that comes up with this: face downs. Intimidation is illegal in tournament settings. Face downs can happen before games and could cause negative effects to happen during the game, such as struggling with cheating. Now, if you beat someone who beat you in a face down, and if you beat them at Elflines Online to TCG, you have successfully beat the effect. But yeah, we got all sorts of great cheats. An easy cheat at DV13 is secretly look at an opponent's hand. This can be attempted by observers. A stealth skill may be used instead of gambling to attempt this cheat. Signal information to a person using a prepared code. It can be attempted by observers. It's a cryptography skill.
Yep. Well, and the best part is if you and your Choom have internal agents, you could just calm that info back and forth, and the guy across from you is probably none the wiser. Especially if you have like a neuron where it's just projecting onto your optic nerve. There's literally nothing in your cyber eyes or anything that would denote that you're getting a message or anything.
Then we got palming cards, which I've actually seen this one happen at a table I played at before, where we were playing blackjack. And it's one of those places where you shouldn't be cheating at that table because you actually might end up in a bad spot if you do. I watched one old man go over the table after this young guy that tried to, put an ace in place of one of his other cards. To try to make a 21, and
so here's something fun that actually happened recently. So those of you in the TCG space may know of the One Piece trading card game. So I think it was over the weekend there was a tournament held, and it was a remote tournament. So to be like, if you and I were playing Diamond, we'd each have our webcam, and instead of pointing it at our face, we'd point it down at our desks where we have our play mat set up and whatever. And you play over webcam that way. Well, this one guy was really fucking bold, and he set up where he's like sitting back away from, like, say this is like a table in front of me. His hand like this, right, where he's like holding on to cards or whatever. And at one point he kind of like shifts the hand down to just above the edge of the table, and you can clearly see him like do one of these where he like moves a card up into the hand, and it looked like someone was below the table handing him a card.
Cheapers.
Yeah, so that's the kind of shit we're talking about with cheating. Like, it's kind of insane. And then there was another guy who recently got a 2-year ban from playing Vanguard because he was caught cheating at the World Finals. And because he was doing a shuffle that let him reveal information about his opponent's deck, so he knew what he was playing against. And he also was using that manipulation to cheat his opponent's draws. Because the idea was, like, if you just organize the top of the deck as you're shuffling to give them nothing but bad shit on the top of their deck, or things they won't need, they'll just draw a bunk hand and you just beat them easy. So yeah, this guy got banned, and he was actually like a pretty big member of the community that got banned like that. So it was like, yikes. Yeah, no, there was one of the big creators had a tweet he made like 3 years ago, saying like, man, I just met one of the goats of the game. And then he retweeted it recently with a quote that just said, yeah, this one did not age well. He's now infamous for a whole different reason. And I was like, shit. It was not good. It was real bad. So just understand, that's the kind of consequence we're talking about when you're cheating. Like, it's not good, and usually the punishments are pretty severe.
All right. Other great cheats also include drawing from the bottom of the deck instead of the top whenever you desire this turn. An easy cheat approved by the game master, not covered by these rules. Stack the top or bottom 8 cards of a deck during a shuffle. Well, you just named it. Slide a card from your hand onto the bottom of your deck and draw a card. Standard cheat approved by these are DV17 for stacking the deck. DV21, swap a deck with one you have prepared. The conceal reveal object skill may be used instead of the gambling check to complete this cheat. Holy shit.
So if you know your opponent's got a deck and you're like, shit, mine is hard countered by whatever they're playing, but I have another one in my bag that I could pull out instead that hard counters their shit. I mean, if the TO doesn't catch you doing it, then, you know, you play that one round with whatever deck you're playing. And the one risk to this is you risk running into that guy later in the top 8 or whatever, and he's like, wait, you were playing a different deck earlier today, and you go, shit. Because now they check your deck that you registered. Because you actually, in real tournaments, Diamond, you actually submit like a whole sheet that lists your deck and like what you're running in it. And the TO will like have a judge check that the deck you're playing matches the sheet exactly. And if it's not,
do you not get to register at least a couple decks to tournaments?
One deck. You play one deck the whole day. Some games, it depends on the rules for which game you're playing. Magic, for example, is one of them that allows what would be called a sideboard or a side deck, where you can swap cards between them. So what you'll usually do is you'll build a main strategy and play that as your main deck. And then the sideboard is there to support against decks that are problematic for you mostly. And so that's how they kind of managed that issue. But there are games like Vanguard where there is no side deck. You just play what you have. And so you're playing the same deck for 8 Swiss rounds plus a top 8. And pray to God that you don't get hard countered in any way there. Or if you do, that you can play through it, because it's hard. That is a hard thing to do.
Now, finally, before we get on to like the actual play of Elflines, something else that came in this little edition, well, merch.
Yay, merch!
That's, in fact, gear. If you
Yay,
want to cover
gear.
these.
Yes, I love the gear, because this is the thing, ironically, that threw people into an absolute feral rage. Because one of these items... Oh yeah, I'll talk about that, Diamond. So it's actually the first item here. Welcome.
Yeah, it's the one I think it is.
Yeah, she now she remembers everyone. So the dual caster costs you 100 eddies if you want to get it. It is a bulky winged triangular plastic housing for your Elflines Online TCG deck with an included revving trigger and a pair of very overactive flywheels with which to fling your cards onto and sometimes into the table. It's an exotic medium pistol. It is 3 rate of fire, which is the thing that got people real fucking upset, and allows you to make 3 attack checks per attack action if it is the only weapon you're firing this round. Otherwise, it is 2 rate of fire, which is how we fix that. The dual caster deals a d6 damage and cannot be concealed. Instead of firing bolts, it fires Elflines Online the TCG cards. The cards can be recovered after they're fired, albeit no longer in mint condition. Guys, you always want to keep cards in mint condition if you want to resell them. Otherwise, you're useless. Your already useless single is going to be even less useful. Let's see. Oh, yes. The dual caster has a capacity of 26 cards, which is exactly enough to play a deck. Just enough to hold your Elflines Online the TCG deck. It can also be loaded with standard playing cards, costing 5 eddies per deck, but doing so causes the dual caster to act like a poor quality weapon until proper Elflines Online the TCG cards are swapped in. So, Diamond, do you want to hear the devious scheme I have for the dual caster?
Let's hear it.
You get a standard deck of real, genuine ELO TCG cards, right?
Okay.
And then you coat them in a lightweight polymer. Not enough to add significant weight to them, but enough to improve their weight and aerodynamic qualities. And then, with this tech upgraded ELO deck, you do as much as 3d6 damage potentially if the Game Master is willing to allow it at 3 rate of fire.
I would say 2d6, but you'd have to spend time making each card, though. So
Yeah.
there's a time balance that comes to it.
There is, but that's what I'm saying. The other
It's like
side of
1
the
hour
coin
per
too
card.
is if you don't allow for the heavy weapon variant of this, and you instead are going for 2d6, you could also coat the cards in poison, because like an arrow, they are
absolutely.
they're a removable projectile. So I just take my whole coated ELO TCG deck and I just do a little dunk on the end of a string into a vat of biotoxin. And all of a sudden, that 2d6 damage is accompanied by a 3d6 instant health tick if they don't pass the resistance check. So yeah, that's fun. And you do that with 3 rate of fire. So that means they're taking 2d6 that applies to armor plus 3d6 that cuts right through it 3 times every round of combat. It is beautiful, assuming of course you can hit the shots. Next up, we've got the Scarlet Black Bow as seen in Elflines Online. Cost is 50 eddies. It's a premium cosplay recreation of the powerful Scarlet Black Bow from Elflines Online. It really works and plays sounds from the game when drawn to full extension. Makes a great gift for the elf in your life. Each purchase comes with a quiver of 6 rubber arrows. An exotic, poor quality bow. Whenever you roll a critical failure when firing the weapon, it destroys itself beyond repair. Additionally, when the weapon destroys itself beyond repair, its battery pack electrocutes the wielder, dealing them for 66 damage, soaked by armor as normal. And then finally, last but not least, we have the Sword of Arvish as seen in Elflines Online. Cost 50 eddies, a real metal replica of the legendary Sword of Arvish as wielded by the hero himself. The pride of any elf's mantle. It is big, it is heavy, and you aren't a real fan unless you have one.
Well, shit, I need to go get one.
I will say right now that this is probably, if I had to guess what this is mocking, back in ye old year of 2008. Year of our Lord 2008. When, or no, it might have been a little after that. I'm trying to remember when Wrath of the Lich King came out. Bottom line, Wrath of the Lich King came out, and along with it, for World of Warcraft, they made a real replica Frostborn. It was big, it was heavy, and all my friends who were super fans and played with their whole families, because I did have several of those, had one on their wall somewhere. And I can confirm after picking one of those up that that thing is cumbersome as it sucked. So this is a poor quality, one-handed, exotic, heavy melee weapon. Whenever you roll a critical failure, with this weapon, instead of the weapon malfunctioning, you instead suffer the crushed fingers critical injury dealt after you resolve your attack check and damage to the hand that you were using to wield it. Because yes, that is exactly what would happen if you like swung it bad and all of a sudden you're just like, my hand is broken, what the fuck? Yeah. It's not great. It's pretty bad actually. But yeah, that's the merch.
And then finally, one other thing we were given is awesome Elflines Online, the trading card games, card backings from Puddle Forge Games.
God, I love Puddle Forge. They're a great company.
I know, right?
Yep, they're terrific.
All right. Well, I think with that in mind, I think it is time for us. Do we want to answer questions before we jump into into game today?
I mean, we could answer. We could kind of do it out of order if you wanted to. We took a little longer on this first segment than we typically do. So yeah, I mean, if you would just own the QA this week then, but that's totally fine. I don't mind that.
I didn't know if we want to kick off your side. Well, how long? Well, actually, Elfline. Actually, these games don't take too terribly long. Never mind.
We could play. A whole litany of them in an hour. Absolutely.
We're good for business. So I'm going to switch over to one of my video screens here to show everybody something awesome that Lord Jesus Crust has made for us.
Beautiful. So yeah, we are going to switch over then. I guess the topic technically is going to be mine, and I just get to get TCG content on my channel again. It's been so long, guys. Holy shit.